Welcome back to the You Don't Know Jack podcast. In today's episode, we're pulling back the curtain on Roush's manufacturing magic with two of the masterminds behind the scenes. They'll share insights into Roush's unique capabilities, cutting-edge innovations, and what it's like to work alongside a team of dream makers. From the latest tech advancements to the challenges and triumphs of memorable projects, this conversation will be packed with stories and strategies that make Roush an absolute leader in contract manufacturing. So, whether you're into engineering, production, or just love a good success story, stick around for this exciting episode. And it will be a good time, let me tell you, because you know why?
Why is that, Josh?
Because we've got a new studio.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, so I know we took a break here for a little bit. It's been a little bit since we've had our last episode air, but thank you guys for coming back and sticking with us. We do have a nice new studio that we're coming to you live from. So anyway, so guys, welcome. Glad you could join us today. So why don't you guys give us a quick intro about yourselves and what you do at Roush?
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're happy to break in the new studio with you guys. So,
Yeah.
My name is Rzetelny. I'm the vice president of the flexible assembly group here at Roush. I've been here for going on 9 years. I actually came in through the VIP, the Veterans Initiative Program, which is a really good program. Company's a huge veteran initiative company. John Gardner leads that group, so really, really positive there. Started as a project manager, managed numerous electric vehicle programs, autonomous vehicle programs. We did a supercar engine for one of our OEM customers, and then just kind of worked my way up, started taking more responsibility, and now responsible for the last about 5 years for the flexible assembly group.
Yeah, mine's not going to be quite that good, but Nick Collins. So I'm a senior PM in our flexible assembly group. I've been here going on 6 years now, actually. So started back in 2018, part-time as an intern. Ended up coming in straight out of college in our flexible assembly group. Started out, again, as an intern right out of college. Ended up getting a full-time position about a month or so later. Just, worked my way up. Started out in cost analysis, working on business cases and trying to win new business. Ended up moving up to program management, and now I'm a senior program manager. Got a team of about 6 rolling up to me. Got some new business that we're trying to win. Got a couple cool programs, so
Cool.
excited to talk. Yeah,
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Also, you guys have got myself, Josh Massib, Jack Roush Jr., and Steve Dolmaj here as your co-host. So super excited to get into this. And Steve, why don't you kick us off here?
Sure thing. Thanks for joining us, guys, first and foremost. So Roush really has a reputation of taking those big ideas, turning them into reality with both speed and, of course, precision. What is the secret sauce here? Can you guys tell us about some of the unique capabilities that make our team a standout in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, secret sauce, it's kind of tough, For us, I think it really comes down to people, process, and culture. I think those are really the 3 things that we try to hit on the most. We have a rock star team in this group, I think, and a lot of it really stems back to all of them, right? We have a really robust set of processes that we like to lean on, and I think the culture is really a big thing in our group, right? I mean, we're really adaptable. We like to take kind of that West Coast mentality mindset to our culture. We like to adapt to the different types of groups that we're working with, whether that's, a startup company out on the West Coast or an OEM that we're dealing with. We really like to try to modify the way that we're working to be able to adapt best to them. So really, it all comes down just to who it is that you're working with and how do you try to mold yourself to be able to mesh really well with them. We like to try to take as low cost of a solution as possible. So the phrase that we like to say is the right level of technology for the application, right? So you get a West Coast startup company coming to you. They're going through their first round of funding. They don't really have a lot of capital on hand. They're trying to get a product out into the market. How do you really do that, right? I mean, it's tough when you go to a company and they say, all right, you got a $15 million, $20 million line that we're going to set up to run your program down. It's not really always feasible, right? So we like to try to find a way to bring that solution to market as low cost as possible, allow you to pick it up, move it around wherever you need to, and try to keep that investment down to a minimum.
Yeah, a lot of the OEMs come to us because they need a little bit lower volume manufacturing, but the same level of quality as they would expect in their own products. And a lot of the startups come to us because they need a process, they need that kind of structure to be able to actually, take their designs and make it into something, right?
Mhm.
So
I'm sure that's super exciting. Just always different, rotating opportunities just coming through the door. That's
Right.
cool.
yeah, it's cool. It's always fun.
Yeah, cool. So now here's something super exciting. If you guys don't know listening, these guys work in the same facility where Roush Performance vehicles are born. So guys, can you tell us, what it's like sharing space with the legendary Roush vehicles, and how does your production process compare to that of Roush Performance?
It's actually a really good point to bring up. I'll just kind of give you the quick history of the flexible assembly group. So, obviously, Roush has been building our own products for many years. I think going on 30, right? The performance vehicles as well as the Roush Clean Tech products. So really, to do that at the quality levels that we expect to do it at, Roush created our own in-house manufacturing execution system, MES. So, kind of a homegrown system to be able to manage the builds at that volume and at that level of quality. And it was some time ago, maybe 10 years ago, the company was looking at that capability that we kind of made in-house to create these vehicles and said, hey, we could offer this as a service to customers, right? Whether it's OEMs or startups. And that's kind of how the whole thing came about. So flexible assembly is, holistically really what RPP and Clean Tech do every day on the manufacturing side. It's just geared towards as a service to other customers. How can we help them work, get their design and actually build that? So, to your point, we work in the same exact facility, very similar manufacturing processes. We actually, a lot of the people are the same, right? We'll flex people on and off. Maybe they're RPP has a heavy week and we're building vehicles and we need to shift that labor over to a different program. So we're kind of all the same, just a different mission at the end of the day. And that's really the history of flexible assembly.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting to see the way that the culture kind of from that performance line really makes its way over to us, right? You get that same kind of like performance mindset, entrepreneurial spirit that's really prevalent in RPP, and it comes over into the flexible assembly line. So you'll see that same type of enthusiasm and, the same type of people like Brad was saying. They'll be working one day on a Super Duty. Next day, they might be working over in our line on an ag tech product. And then a couple months later, they'll be working again on a Mustang or a Ranger or something else.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. And Jack, I think that goes back to your dad when he started the company, right? Just the overall mission and vision and just culture of it. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that spirit really, I think, has created what we are today for sure.
Yeah.
Hey guys, before we move on, can we talk about the 810 horsepower Mustang that we just came out with? Because that thing is sweet.
I think that's a great idea. So we just launched a pretty awesome product for the X650 Mustang, 810 horsepower in partnership with Magnuson Superchargers. It's got a really cool red lid on it. So when you pop that hood, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's in pops.
And yeah, it's pretty awesome. Check it out.
What was the quarter mile on that?
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got guys out there that have made a few more modifications that run.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. So it's pretty impressive. Super highly engineered, like everything we do. So we're proud of it.
Yeah, I got to take it for a ride a couple weeks ago, and that thing is that supercharger's awesome, and it looks amazing. The sound, I don't know what you guys.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah, sounds really good.
Yeah, we did a good job on that one. Not to turn this into an ad, but
Yeah, it's funny when I think it's awesome having you guys here today. When I talk to people in the public about our company, the general public generally doesn't know who Roush really is. They know about the Roush Performance vehicles, they know about the racing stuff, but as far as the biggest part of what we are, engineering and everything around that, they don't know. Telling these stories is just so important because it really defines who we are. Now, personally, I think it's not just the capabilities that we have, but it's also how they're so vertically integrated. I think those two things really makes Roush very unique. Can you guys break down how this vertical integration of capabilities benefits your group with operations and ultimately what it means for the people and brands that we work for?
Absolutely. Yeah. So to your first point about a lot of the public doesn't know about what we do. We always joke that we work in the shadows, right? Because a lot of our customers, we can't really talk about the services that we're providing for them. So we have all this cool stuff that we know we're doing, but we can't talk about it. So I know that kind of sounds silly, but it is the truth. So that's, we definitely work with customers to try to do releases and we talk about whatever we can. But and then to the vertical integration point, Jack, I mean, that is really what gives us our advantage. It's especially in Roush Flexible Assembly. There's a lot of other competitors out there who want to do assembly services, but that's really all they do, or they don't offer a lot of other services. We try to be a turnkey solution here. So and Roush as a whole, Roush Industries is basically a product development company. So you could have a sketch on a napkin of the product you want, and we'll take it all the way through the engineering phase, design engineering. We'll test it. manufacture it, provide whatever services we need to, or you could start anywhere in that process. So the flexible assembly group with us, we're contract manufacturing essentially. So oftentimes the customer will come to us with a design that's either completed or close to be completed, but we can help leverage other parts of the company, whether it's engineering, if they need to finish a design, or fabrication. And a lot of times the customer wants a turnkey solution. They don't want to have to go to 4 or 5 different companies to get their product delivered. So we can help them with whether it be procuring the materials. We have a very large purchasing team. We can go and take the design from the customer, go buy all the components, again, help them if they need to finish the engineering part of it. We can get it all tested for them and then deliver it. And in-house, we have, machining capabilities, fabrication, advanced composites, electrical engineering, electrical manufacturing. You could, again, turnkey solution for whatever product the customer's looking for.
Yeah, and I mean that's helped us a lot too with some of these programs when we had those unexpected challenges come in. I mean, we have so many people that come to us and they think that it's a build to print, program. They think that their design's fully complete, ready to go, launch it into steady state production. And more times out than not, we start digging in, we start going through our non-recurring engineering phase. We're creating work instructions. We go through our, prototype builds, and we start seeing stack up issues. We see software that's not working. And, for a typical contract manufacturer, a lot of times you would take that and you would have to almost not necessarily turn it away, but you say, sorry guys, you got to go back to the drawing board. You're not ready for this yet. And instead, we're able to kind of take that and say, all right, you're not quite ready for this yet, but we can take this and we can move it into a different part of the group. We can help get you the rest of that, 5-10% that you need. And then we're right there working with them the entire time. So we're able to take those lessons and take those improvements in real time, make modifications to our process, our work instructions, and then we can hit the ground running.
Yeah. One other aspect that our customers really enjoy is, depending on what phase they're in, we've had customers come to us and we do the first phase of the build and they have to go make changes. They come back a year or two later with the second iteration. The way Roush works, we're a large enough company and we have groups like RPP and other groups to where we can redeploy the people and actually get that same team from Roush who built their first line of product and do the second one. So you're getting the same team. They were just redeployed in different programs throughout the company. And that's definitely an advantage as well. So cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys mentioned you do a lot of work with OEM level customers. That level of quality really is not easy bar to meet, yet you guys continue to do it on a day in, day out basis. How do you guys make sure that the quality stays up to the top-notch standards from start all the way to the finish?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it really comes down to RPP, right? I mean, we can really point back to that as kind of the basis for everything. I mean, we have the exact same quality team. Our director of quality for flexible assembly, it's the same director of quality for RPP for clean tech. So we get that continuity of people between everything that we do. So the same process that we utilize in our performance group that allows us to do a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on all of the stuff that we install, it's the exact same mentality that we use on the contract manufacturing side. I mean, the big difference really is how do you take that process and you tweak it and modify it to the specifics that the customer's asking for. So every single program that we do, right from day one, we've got our quality engineering staff on the program. They come in, they start working directly with the customer, identify, what's the status of your DFEMAs, right? I mean, that's kind of the basis for everything. How are we going to take that and start to create a control plan? And our PFEMAs, how do we integrate that into our process and how do we control it? And it's malleable, right? I mean, we're able to take that and we can say, hey, let's go as crazy as we possibly can and let's make this thing 100% traceable. Let's track torque value and angle on every single bolt and fastener, kind of like something we would do if we're assembling an engine, right? Or we can take that, we can modify it a little bit because we're working with a startup. They don't have the level of investment ready to be able to support something like that. Let's create a strategy and a process to track during the actual production and assembly process key characteristics, safety critical, and then let's find, thrifty, cost-effective solutions for everything else. So it really comes down to that continuity of people and that day one integration, not only with the customer, but with our engineering team, our manufacturing engineering team, everyone. It's got to be that continuity and that level of steadiness throughout the phase.
Yeah, it's interesting to draw the connection to RPP because, Roush Performance products, for those that don't know, but when we're building a vehicle and it's leaving the facility, there's I don't know how many checkpoints that they go through on quality, and they do not let anything out the door that doesn't meet ultimate perfection, essentially. So I think that's something that really differentiates us on that side from the competition, and I think on your side too. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Jack a little bit earlier, right? And how it all comes back kind of to that vision that he has. And at the end of the day, it's his name, right? That's on everything that we're doing. It's not only our products, but even if we're operating in the shadows, we have that name associated with it internally. The group that we're working with knows it's Roush. It is Jack Roush. So there's a personal connection that you have to make sure that the quality is good, because it's our name that's associated with it. It's a very prominent name in this space, and that's can't be overstated enough. I mean, that really, really permeates with our team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something I know we're all proud of. So
Absolutely.
So I know I have a question. I know this is kind of a tough one, but for projects that we can talk about, obviously, we really can't talk about most of the engineering projects that we do because they're for brands other than ours. But some of our customers do, are open about that, or even leverage it to show the quality of their products, given, our capabilities. Are there any projects, or actually maybe just one to start with, is there one project that truly stands out as special, and what made it memorable for your team?
Yeah, I think there's one or two that come to mind instantly. There's a lot, right? The first one's the carbon robotics program that we did with obviously Carbon Robotics, Seattle-based company. It's basically a farming implement that gets pulled behind a tractor and uses lasers to kill weeds. So it's essentially a giant computer on wheels that shoots lasers and weeds. So amazing, super cool product. Very, obviously a very complex, probably one of the most complex products that we've done.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And the cool part about that one was, we were, with them early on in the process, and we did some prototyping in the assembly as well for the production units, and that one challenged us, and honestly, like I feel like it was a mutual, we obviously delivered on our end and delivered the product for that company, but that made us better too, just based on how fast we were moving. It was an extremely fast paced ramp and to get that moving, and we actually modified our processes and lessons learned to say, hey, how can we even be faster and in the future and adapt even more, have even more agility with all the changes that are coming and stuff like that. So that was a big one. I would say the other one is Bollinger Motors, which is going on currently. That's an EV truck. So we also have been working with them for many years now. The cool part about that is we've been together in the first phase, the DV build, and then that we're now in the PV phase. So we kind of got to live the whole process with Bollinger and do it together. And that's an amazing product, and it's been a really good program for both of us. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nick, I don't know if you have any that you want to touch on top of that.
No, I mean, it's tough because I have a lot that I do want to talk about that you can't, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of the public ones, yeah, I mean, the Carbon Robotics, that one holds a special place in my heart, right? I mean, that was a tough road to get to where we are now, with a great team on both sides. So that one is just, every time I go inside that building and walk down that line, it's incredible what that team was able to accomplish. Yeah.
Yeah, really impressive technology too. I've never even heard of anything like that before.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you say to someone, "Oh yeah, it's a laser weeder," and they kind of just look at you like, "What are you talking about?" And like the overwhelming response is either, "That's insane, I didn't even know that was possible," or, "Can it be put in like a lawnmower?"
Well, Nick and I were out there, and I think it was like 2021, seeing a demonstration out in Seattle area where they had the laser weeder, and then next to it were humans pulling weeds, and you could see the difference. I mean, the product's gonna change the world, right? I mean, it's the way of the future. So
Yeah, it's not a gimmick, not by any means. I mean, that it's insane.
Yeah, but this thing literally finds weeds and shoots a laser at it.
Yeah.
And burns them up.
Oh yeah, like down to the root.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
that's pretty incredible. That's all AI.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. So I think we all know, these projects like that don't, get across the finish line without some challenges or curveballs, I'll call them. So do you guys have, any examples or a time where things got tricky and, how your team was able to tackle the challenges head on, and, what that looked like? Because let's be honest, it's all about the excitement, the thrill, right? If we got a challenge, that's Jack's big thing, is let's figure it out. So you got any stories about that?
Can we say the same one?
No, you go first, and then we'll decide.
I mean, I think carbon robotics is probably one of the best examples, right? I mean, you're talking about a software-based startup company that has one of the most unbelievable like technological advancements that I've ever seen in that industry, and they're trying to launch into production as fast as they possibly can. So when you get a process set up, an assembly line set up, and then you have literally hundreds of changes happening to that product as you're trying to build it, as you're trying to procure material. That is by no means an easy feat, but that's the nature of that type of industry, right? I mean, with all of these startups, you can't wait until you have something that's 100% ready to go. You're going to get beaten to the market every single time. So that's been a big challenge for us, is learning how can we adapt our processes to really be able to maintain that quality, maintain that level of traceability that we want to have, while being able to adapt to hundreds of potential changes to a bill of material. I mean, it's very, very tricky, but we've been able, with a lot of help from that program, to be able to refine that process.
Cool. Yeah, just a more general statement. Really all the programs we do are tricky, right? That's why the customers coming to us, because they need our help. Change is probably the biggest challenge that we have with a lot of the customers, to Nick's point, just the fast rate of change. But to answer your question, Jack, too, the way we really mitigate that is just leveraging the team, whether it be the project team. We have a cross-functional team on every program that we do: program management, manufacturing, engineering, quality, operations. But a lot of times with programs, very challenging programs, we can bring in other functional groups from the company. And I would say the way we mitigate is just bring in a larger team, get the expertise, and we have workshops and we work through it. So, and that's really how we do it every time. So
That's cool. So what's the biggest difference between working with like a bigger company versus a startup? Like, what is the dynamic like there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is how can you fit in their culture and their mindset with the processes that would typically go along with like an OEM level program, right? I mean, if you're working with one of the big three, you're working with one of these massive OEMs, there's a very set, product development process that you follow, and it is truly step by step. You do this, then you do this, and then you do that, and there's no deviation from it, right? I mean, it's ingrained into the timeline, it's ingrained into everyone on the program team. But when you're working with a startup, a lot of times those processes can actually be a little bit of a hindrance, right? Especially when you're talking about on the software development side. Everything is so agile and so fast paced that if you really try to take that OEM, PDP, product development process, and apply it directly one-to-one to a startup company, it's not always going to work very well. I mean, not only is the product not ready for that always, but the people you're dealing with, right? They expect a level of fluidity and a level of being able to kind of like bend your process a little bit to adapt to what they like to do. And if you go in with that same OEM level mindset, you're going to get those culture clashes, and those can sometimes be disastrous for a program. So that's, at least on my side, that's really what I see.
Yeah. I mean, from a cultural standpoint, OEMs are obviously larger companies. Maybe the people we're working with have multiple programs. A lot of times these startup companies, like that's their baby, right? Like that product that we're helping them bring to life, that has to launch. There is no alternative, right? So
it's their own money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're very, very vested, right? And that's why Roush is such a good supplier, because we're the same way, right? We're a lot of, we're not going to let anybody fail. We always say we will never let a customer fail, whether it's, 7 days a week. We don't care what it takes, right? So, but I will say culturally that's definitely a difference from OEMs. I'm not saying that OEMs aren't vested in the product, but the startup companies, like, it cannot fail.
Yeah. Right. Got you. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, whether it's a startup or an OEM level customer, really is, at the end of the day, all about them. It starts with them, it ends with them. How have the solutions you guys have found made a real difference for the customer specifically? Do you guys have any specific success stories that make you specifically proud to be a part of Roush?
Yeah, I mean, we keep in touch with all of our customers, even ones that we've done a long time ago. We're always seeing, what the product's doing in the field, where there's, I can't name some of the customers, unfortunately, but we still see those. We still see those out and about. We actually just, one of our most long-term customers in our group, Polaris. They were actually here a couple of days ago, and they're showing us the end users taking delivery of the military vehicles that we build. So obviously that near and dear to my heart, and it's kind of nice to see. Just we're always grinding every day, but seeing that end customer and where it goes and how it changes the world. Again, going back to the carbon robotics example, just seeing the good that it's going to bring to the world. It's going to change the way things are done. Just seeing that kind of stuff is, it really makes it makes it all worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we can relate to that because just Roush Performance in general, bringing products to the market. We're bringing toys out there and things that people enjoy. Driving around, going fast. So yeah, I totally get that. That's cool.
I've been seeing some big names in Roush vehicles lately too on social media. So yeah, I've been seeing a lot of them.
Yeah. There's a lot of them out there.
Good.
Oh yeah.
So another question that I have, I think it's pretty clear that the world of contract manufacturing is evolving really quickly in our history right now. I know the Industrial Revolution was supposed to be over hundreds of years ago, it seems like, but that's clearly not the case. What trends do you guys see coming at us, and how are we staying ahead of the curve?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest trends we've seen is in the EV space, right? I know we've seen over the last 4 years or so kind of a really strange trend in how the EV space is going. We put a lot of time, effort, and money in the commercial, consumer level EVs, and we ended up seeing, across the board that the infrastructure in the U.S. is just not quite there yet. So we were interested to see what was going to happen with that. Right? Was it going to be abandoned? Was it going to be pulled back a little bit? And we've seen actually the trend, kind of similar to Bollinger, is really focusing on that commercial fleet-based EV. That's a really strong trend that we've seen in the market, just because the infrastructure is there to support it. You're selling your vehicles to fleets. They've got a central hub that all of these trucks come back to. They can be charged overnight. They're doing last mile deliveries, short hauls. It's a lot more feasible at this point in time, just where the infrastructure is. So it's been great working with companies like Bollinger. We've gained a lot of lessons learned in that type of market specifically, and we've got a lot of a really great lessons learned and processes developed specifically to serve that type of market. So we've seen a lot of new people come our way in that area, and we're excited to see that space continue to grow.
And it's funny because a little, maybe 4 or 5, 6 years ago, autonomy was really the big thing. So a lot of our programs were AV programs. We still see a little bit of that, but we're actually seeing some of that come back too. A little. Well, yeah, it's starting to, it seems like it's coming back a little bit. So,
yeah, I can't remember it was last year or a couple years ago at SEMA. They had like autonomous taxis rolling around. That was the weirdest feeling. Yeah, I can't even tell you.
I was just in San Francisco, and I rode in one of the Waymo vehicles. Yeah, that's a trip. It's a little bit,
a little spooky.
It is
Takes some getting used to for sure.
Yeah, I'd like if they got rid of the steering wheel, because seeing it turn on its own,
It's a little.
That's the weird.
It's a little unnerving.
That's the weird part.
Yeah.
It's moving like it's a ghost.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, got anything else you want to tell the people? Anything else exciting going on?
I got a lot that's going on that's exciting. It's just, what can we talk about, right? It's tough.
I asked that on purpose.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're trying to pull it.
Trying to slip up.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think we could talk about definitely the growth of the group. So, we started 8, 9 years ago. We had a smaller customer base. We're actually in 5 facilities now in the flexible assembly group. So we're opening a new facility in the Livonia, actually Plymouth area as well, for another electric truck program. So again, in 5 facilities, we're keeping busy with military programs, EV programs. We're doing a supercar assembly program currently as well, and numerous other products. So
Cool.
yeah, every day's fun, right? We do our monthly our program reviews, and we're going through each program, the status and everything, and you're just shifting gears nonstop. Like, okay, we're talking this product, military program. Now we're doing a laser weeder. I mean, it's just every day's a fun day.
It's cool.
Yeah, and it sounds like 2025 we may be looking a little bit more in the aerospace industry too. We're interested to see what's going on in that one for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, got a little something up our sleeve.
Yeah,
I'll talk about that next year.
Yeah.
Next time we're on.
All right. Well, I wouldn't mind going to the moon if you're asking people.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I'll sign up for that.
Cool, guys. Well, I'm certainly excited to see some of these new projects come through, and definitely appreciate you joining us today. So That wraps up our episode of the You Don't Know Jack podcast. Again, big thank you to our incredible guests here for sharing a glimpse behind the curtain, especially into the hard work, passion, and innovation going on behind our manufacturing success. So hope you enjoyed hearing about the unique capabilities, memorable projects, and exciting future trends shaping this industry. So if you're inspired about what you've heard here, make sure you stay tuned for more stories from the people here who help bring Roush's vision to life. So thanks for listening, and remember, there's always more to discover here on You Don't Know Jack.